blast off.
This is the Mr.Nobody podcast.
Episode 43. I've been doing everything wrong. I've been thinking wrong. Against my own
endgame.
My own endgame. Zero. And what is the end game?
Yeah, zero. What is the point of life?
Aristotle said it was to be happy. To be happy. Of course, he didn't mean it the way we mean it. We moderns think of it as pain-free, debt-free, full of pleasure. For him, happiness was an acquired skill. And the acquisition of that skill towards that goal was fueled by an internal attraction to that which is good. Intrinsic
Goodness.
desire for goodness. A thing inside of every human being that just knows to head for
That which is good.
an innate quality that rational humans hold
To desire something
that is formally good rather than formally shitty. As an example, let's say you were starving or even just peckish, and you were walking along
and you came upon
some fruit that fell off a tree. Some apples. And there's some apples on the ground. And there's some apples still hanging on the tree. They're all apples. But let's say on the ground, there's some that recently fell, and some that have been on the ground
rotting
for a few days, full of worms and insects and rotting. Now they're all apples, but the good apples, let's say the ones you would feed your child, are the ones that are still intact. Their form is good. At least as far as food goes. The rotting apples are also good, but for other things. Insects, fertilizer. That's really interesting. How good shifts around. So if you want to eat an apple, you're going to want to eat a good apple. If you're going to drive a car, you're going to want a car that's not going to break down, especially on the middle of a highway. If you want a relationship, you want one with someone you can trust, who's not going to deceive you, betray you, cause you harm, anxiety. And this isn't built in us, that we all seek the goal of goodness. We seek things that are integral to their function. What good is a hammer if it explodes on impact?
Zero, 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 zero.
So at the end of every process, searching for food when you're starving, searching for a job,
whatever the thing is that you seek to sustain your growth in this world.
building a boat. Would you build a boat with a bunch of holes in the bottom? You might build one. Would you put your own family in one, into a boat?
That had holes drilled into the bottom.
I can't tell you how many times
I've played guitars that looked great,
but didn't sound great or play great. And it wasn't because of the setup,
which is something that we can tweak.
they just weren't made well. That's interesting. It sort of indicates that aesthetics take a back seat
To functionality.
They look great, but they aren't good. The good is what we're aiming at. It's the target of any process, of any
Whatever desire.
I wonder if there's any such thing as a good or competent drug user. I never thought about that.
Is drug using a skill?
Or is it just a habit? I guess you get good at parts of it, even though there's no life-affirming
Goal associated with it.
It's just about the now thing in the worst
Kind of way. It goes against.
any kind of flourishing, both of the mind and the body,
So in some way it's
countering our nature being one that
strives for
what's possible intrinsically to our form of flourishing.
but I digress.
Flourish. I love that word because it sounds like a flower. Flourishing. That finally blossoms. I have an orchid that the person in the plant store
Said
No, this will never flower.
Once it's flowered once, it won't flower again.
And that's not true.
it turned out not to be true. I placed that orchid in the half darkness and kept it wet just enough and it flowered.
and then it flowered again.
And again. So it was successful at being an orchid.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So what is the goal for humans? It's to be happy, successful at being a human, which isn't so easy because we're not born with a manual. Although we are born with a sense of heading towards that which is good. So there's a kind of manual.
No baby prefers being wet.
All living things grow if the conditions are good. And sometimes they grow in bad conditions,
Driven by some innate
desire to survive and thrive. But they eventually have to head towards better conditions, towards goodness, or they're fucked. Have you ever had that thought that if I don't get out of this,
I am truly fucked?
I once asked my teacher, a great teacher, who was dying. He had brain tumors, 2 of them, and he knew he was going to die. And he checked himself out of the hospital, and out of the process of denying the truth, and he decided to live the end of his humanity on his own terms. I asked him,
As he was dying,
what is the goal of a musician, and specifically a guitar player? And he said, to not suck.
to not suck.
And I asked him, what is the meaning of life as you're facing your own whatever
That is.
Same answer. To not suck. To do it well.
And for him, it wasn't just
Playing well, but it was being an ethical person, a responsible and honest and kick-ass musician all the time, and a decent person. Because you might play well.
be a complete drag to be around.
What's the point of that? You could play great, but you'd still suck. That's a clue that all of this has to do with
Getting along.
connecting with other people. So to be a good person, successful person, it requires more than just breathing. And even
Breathing can be vastly improved.
with a little bit of study. So can concentration. So can being a good human
So even though we're born
with good forms as humans, we're not born with being able to be good humans. That takes study, effort, and the recognition that it's important. You have to practice it because it's a second nature experience.
just like lions,
They're born, they're perfect little lions. Their mothers have to teach them how to hunt and survive.
and flourish.
We all know people that are good at being good people, consuming themselves, consuming everyone in their sphere, destroying everything they touch.
Shortcuts, drama, self-interest, excuses.
They've never practiced the art of being a good human. It's an art in the sense that it's artificial. It's created by us. It's a refined,
Sublime venture.
it's meant to make things better. Better for the self, better for the
Community.
and better for the society. It's actually probably better even for nature. How can something artificial be so good? So Aristotle referred to this as virtue. And I suppose virtue could be zero. But Virtue is excellence. And excellence needs to be practiced. That's me playing. And I used to suck. And there's plenty of people who could play faster, denser. But nobody can tell a little story any better than I can now. One of my greatest pleasures was teaching my son the art of being a good person, a good fighter, and a good guitarist. And they were metaphors. A good person. Tell him to build his solos up, like develop the storyline. It's like a relationship where you begin, you explore, you deepen, and then once you commit, you unfurl. You unroll your fucking soul and you walk out on it. And you learn things about yourself that you never knew. I didn't plan to play that melody that you're hearing. It played me. I just committed to it. Yeah, don't suck. Yeah, don't suck. Don't suck. I'm no expert on virtues, but the four big ones that you hear about, let's say in first term philosophy class. Aristotle did not invent these virtues. They had been being batted around for thousands of years before he got to them. The so-called four cardinal virtues. Justice. Justice deals with what's fair. Fair.
To give to that which that is owed.
Like paying your rent. And not stealing.
And not dealing drugs.
That's unjust. Earning your money in a bullshit manner. 4, 3, 2, 1. Courage. This one's heavy because it deals with fear. We would have no need for courage if we weren't scared shitless, especially of pain. You could be afraid of yourself, afraid of dreams.
We fear failure, rejection,
Afraid of the future,
unknown.
afraid to go over the wall, either real or metaphoric, and attack your enemy. It's heavy duty courage to go even though you do not know if you will prevail. Temperance. It's like an old-fashioned word. That just deals with managing pleasure, whereas courage deals with fear and pain. Because we fear pain, injury, humiliation, death. Temperance is what I feel my son did not hone in on.
I only feel that because
In my life, seeking of pleasure has been a way of avoiding pain or medicating. Big duh. I think he was seeking some form of massive pleasure that evidently heroin provides people. And the last one is wisdom. Although I think it was categorized as practical wisdom. Like, don't stick your fucking finger in the blender.
I was going to say dick in the garbage disposal, but I decided against it.
Don't swab the end of the gun in your mouth while flicking at the trigger. It's ridiculous to even say this, but don't buy junk, pills, whatever, from some fuckwad on the street who doesn't care if you live or die.
Who doesn't care what they sell you?
Because you can't rat them out. You're part of the game. Practical wisdom. Don't drive your fucking car into a wall at 100 miles an hour. Don't cheat.
Because people won't like you.
You got to make the right decision, weighing the correct amount of factors for every situation.
Isn't that the kind of person you want driving the bus? And not some stupid, narcissistic, out-of-control coward?
The interesting thing about practical wisdom is that it flavors, it needs to be there for all the other virtues to work. Stupid is fatal. There's no justice without
Common sense.
stupid is fatal.
You don't want to just
Be courageous and get yourself killed. That's fucking stupid.
stupid is fatal.
And stupidity is not IQ. Stupidity is
Fatal.
not using your wisdom. It's kind of a choice. Like taking drugs is fucking stupid
Stupid
for the reason that I mentioned, that you don't know what you're taking
is fatal.
and you're not managing your temperance, your desire to seek jumping out of this world And I hear heroin, once you've experienced it, is almost impossible to unexperience in terms of its pull.
Is fatal.
So your brain has to be thinking right in order for this whole virtue machine
To work.
put another way, for your life to be good. And it's not a perfect system. It's not even a system. It's a process of evaluating what is the right thing to do in any given situation. Virtue is a good state of your soul. Just like being fit is a good state of your body.
May I suggest that anything that you do to fuck up your mind, or your soul, whatever you want to call it, or fuck up your body, is unethical.
It's been bothering me so much what my son did. And when I think about
In
it,
this way,
I recognize that the use of drugs,
the abuse
of drugs, is antithetical to our intrinsic nature to flourish,
and become
that great artist that only you can be. It takes a lot of hard work,
a lot of being here,
a lot of real shit, not escapism, not lying, but being just to yourself,
being brave,
to face the difficulties of what daily life is. Drugs are fucking stupid for this reason,
because they are a decision
by the user to not evaluate the spectrum
of virtue.
some fucked up shit, but it's not supernatural. It's just about
Our
intrinsic pull to grow.
and become what we're supposed to become.
And last time I checked, that's not a junkie. These drugs are bullshit. I've said it before.
You're being used.
You're enriching dealers. You're supporting murder. Just look at the shit that's happening along the chain of this production line. You're part of it.
If you're part of it,
So think about it, because you are a rational
animal.
animal.
Fuck that.
Maybe you can unfuck it for yourself. Here's some jazz.